Welcome back, blade fans. We've got a bit of a unboxing for you today because it's a convenient box to unbox. This is my second PMP knife, and it is called, as you can see on the label, the Berserker. Someone who goes berserk. Or is that someone who makes the person go berserk? I'm not sure. At any rate, we've got a nifty little Pelican style case here. I guess Pelican started it all, so we're going to use that name like people use Kleenex to describe tissue paper. Well, nice presentation as always, with a cool credit card style business card here with the name of the knife. And just such a nice presentation on the Berserker. You can see that they give you the name, PMP Berserker, PMP Knives. And I understand PMP Knives just does limited runs of each of their designs. So on the previous one, which was called the Smilodon, which I'm going to show you in a minute for comparison, we have another such presentation. In fact, in that one, they even presented us with a coin, which was kind of cool. I think I'd prefer the coin over the card, but you know, it seems like each one they do a little different. So there's some consistency and there's some differences. So you might ask, well, let's take a look at the knife. Yes, let's do that. By the way, the foam is more of like that mil-spec hard foam closed cell, which is very nice. And here is the knife. Oh yeah. Solid titanium, frame lock. I elected to go, and I had choices with the blue hardware, backspacer, clip. I kind of like that on some other such knives. There's a Kubi knife, and I can't think of the name of it at the moment, that has, was the first knife I had that was that really nice muted kind of bead blasted titanium with the blue hardware. And I enjoyed that one. What sort of stands out here is that they did this big leaf-shaped, maybe banana-like clip, and I can skew your thinking by putting images in your mind. Is it a banana? I don't know. Do I really like that shape clip? Probably I'd like to see something a little different. But it does slide in and out of the pocket well. It's got nice ramps on both sides, smooth, and relatively deep carry for a titanium milled clip. Well, let's take a look at the knife. Bang, as Mr. Knives likes to say. And there we have a very chiseled Tanto with a large fuller down the middle. Some people question the value of fullers on knives. I would say if you assess every knife on its practical value, we probably would only have a tenth of the knives that have come out in the last few years. Knives have become an art form. Let's face it. We collect them because they look cool and because they can also cut. They can also serve a useful purpose, and they can be mean weapons should you need it for that. So, you know, there it is, right? So, does the fuller have a usefulness? It was said on swords that the fuller might break a suction when thrust into the opponent's torso. I don't think we really need it on a short knife, and it's questionable whether we needed it on the long one, but it reduced the weight on the swords. So, and some say it increased the strength by putting that furrow down the center. With this one, I think it just looks cool. It may ease in the initial penetration into an object by cutting down on some of the friction? I'm not sure. At any rate, we've got a very sharp Tanto out of M390 steel on this Berserker. And if we look on this side, we can see that it is branded pretty well in the fuller, right inside of it. PMP Knives, Berserker, and there's the PMP Knives logo. And there's another blue pivot. Somebody mentioned, and I think it was the venerable LTK on Instagram. We follow each other, I believe. And he said you didn't really know about this sharpening choil that they put in there. I think I kind of like it because when on a blade such as this, if they run that edge right up there, well, on this one, you know, maybe you can have no trouble sharpening it. But there's a good chance you could run into the forward part here of this guard area, choil area, whatever you want to call it. And is this a useful choil? Yeah, it actually is. If you're careful and you just grab it and you don't lurch forward there, you'll be okay. It's not a fully cut out choil area where you're going to have your finger fully protected from the edge, but there aren't too many that are. So I'm comfortable choking up on it right there. My middle finger goes here, index finger goes there, and I can get in for some tight work. I could hold it this way. We do have that secondary point on most Tantos, and that can be used as a point for utility work. Not too many people mention that, but on a slash, for instance, it's also going to be the first point of contact, literally the first point of contact. And we've got a cross section here on this Tanto point where they swedge it down. They drop that point right to the center of the handle. So it's right in line for any thrusts. I think that's kind of an interesting thing. Plenty of handle with about an inch left over. It's a big knife. How big is it, may you ask? 9 inches overall, exactly. 4 inches. Oh, we're just a tiny, tiny bit under 4 inches. I'm going to call it 4 inches. We've got a sharpened edge of 3 3/4. Okay. If we check out the blade stock in millimeters, 4 millimeters exactly. And that's a good thick stock, 0.16 inches. Handle thickness, 0.60 inches. Not skinny, but, you know, not fat. It fills the hand nicely. I like the swale there, the in the handle for a good grip, you know. Locks in, nice. I feel confident holding this knife. It's not going to slip out. And if we weigh it up in the closed position, turn on the scale, we've got a hefty 7.68 ounces. So not a lightweight knife. And when I get to this point and we weigh it, I always wonder, is there weight relieving in it? And I'm seeing some, definitely. So we can turn this light down a scratch. Okay, there we go. So we've got some weight relieving on both sides, more predominantly on the show side of the knife. That I like. So even at well over 7 ounces, they've lightened it up by removing some of the handle material from the inside. A very nice kind of handle chamfer here that runs all the way along the bottom edge and partly along the top of the handle. stops right there. So it kind of looks like a blade. Jimping, I didn't mention, is very effective. Very sharply cut in. You're not sliding on that guy at all. And there's plenty of it. It's a good, I'd say, almost an inch and a half run of jimping. Doesn't quite go all the way out to the peak of that clip. How's the action on this guy? Well, pretty much out of the box, drop shut. It'll smooth up a little bit. And the detent is fairly early, so if you can get it past there you go. Yeah, nice action. And is it sharp? Maybe. They say it's a knife. Is the front edge sharp? Yeah. A little more difficult getting that front edge to cut, but there you go. It's an interesting knife. You may or may not like the aesthetics of the handle. A lot of people aren't going to like the aesthetics of the clip, but you know, there's going to be some that do. I think a kind of somebody called it an eggplant. I think that's not a banana, but an eggplant. And yeah, kind of looks like an eggplant. Does it match the sharp contours, the angularity of the blade? Not really at all. But hey, you know, it is what it is. Don't like it, move on, right? And you know, you can spend your $270 somewhere else, which is what this thing runs. Less 10% if you buy it at White Mountain, as I did, using the discount code Old Sword. So that's going to drop $27 off of that $270. As I say, they all come in cases. The two that I have so far. And here is the other PMP monster knife that I picked up some months back. That's the Smilodon. And this is a pretty heavyweight knife as well, with a big belly clip point to it. Also an M390, but this one heavily stonewashed. And this one, as I said, it's even bigger. So let's see. And it's got the glass breaker on the end. As I say, they do different knives with each run. And I have heard that they are limited runs. So we've got a much bigger knife there, about another inch longer at least. And this is the extra goodie they gave you with the Smilodon. There is the saber-toothed tiger. Very cool. There is the claw of the tiger, almost looking like Bastinelli's logo. For comparison, here is another massive Tanto knife. Let's get the Smilodon out of the picture. And this is the Miguron Prayer, P-R-E-Y-E-R, not P-R-A. Praying on something, treating it like a meal, perhaps. The prayer is ever so slightly longer overall, and a blade almost exactly, maybe slightly longer. It's an interesting double-faceted Tanto, if you want to call it that. Look at that. Equally heavy, maybe even heavier. I don't think they did any weight relieving on this guy. Did they? Oh, they did. Ooh. Yeah, they did. And they're not leaving that out, and you're paying, excuse me, you're paying for that milling. You like it lighter, you're going to pay for it. Interesting pair there, though, huh? The Miguron Prayer and the PMP Berserker. Well, let's do a quick compare with some standard folders. Cryptillion looks kind of diminutive next to it. Yeah, that is a big boy. And Rat 1, usually the big boy on the block. How's it doing? Coming in just a little shy overall length, and about a ½ inch shorter in the blade. Certainly much narrower, not as tall. Okay. Well, there you have it. Let me know what you think. I think it's interesting. I think it's, if you like big knives, this should be satisfying for you. And it does come in all matte gray, just as you see it here without the blue hardware. Got the neutral, natural hardware, and it comes in a anode like a tiger stripe fire type ano on the handle, and it comes in a couple of blacked out versions. Those are all available on White Mountain Knives, although it looks like they're going quickly, so perhaps by the time you see this they may be out, and you may need to select another source, or just put your email down and let them know that you'd like to be notified when they come back in stock, because that's what they do. Hope you had a wonderful holiday. This is the day after Christmas that this should be dropping, and just some eye candy for you guys that are a little bored out, and maybe, you know, you're all already tired of your own Christmas presents, or not. Take care. Be well. I'll be back with you soon.